Take a journey with us to Australia's magical Great Barrier Reef. Australia's Great Barrier Reef is the only living thing that can be seen from the moon, and having a chance to visit the 35 million hectares of this natural wonder is a must-do for any traveller who loves to explore the magic of the sea. I was travelling to Brisbane and the Australian state of Queensland with Malaysia Airlines. After a brief stop in Kuala Lumpur, it was off to my hometown in the land down under. After touchdown in Brisbane, our next destination was a 2-hour flight further north, the tropical city of Cairns. It was here that we would board the 35-metre luxury catamaran, the Coral Princess. Now here we are on board the lovely Coral Princess. Now the boat has 3 levels and this is the lower deck. Right here is the dining room where we have some fantastic meals and great snacks, and of course the bar over there for all our pre-dinner drinks. Now Bursa Tamara sits over in here. Hi there. And in here, well, this is the most important room on the boat. This is the kitchen where Travis and his team whip up some incredible meals. I'm sure we've all put on a few kilos. Now come with us and we'll show you the cabins. The 25 cabins on board accommodate up to 50 guests and around a dozen dedicated staff. This is a luxurious and stable way to get up close to the wonders of the Great Barrier Reef. We had already explored the reefs and islands south of Cairns with Coral Princess, and now it was time to venture north. We would journey from Cairns to Cooktown to Lizard Island and then on to the lovely Ribbon Reefs. On the way we made the most of the cosy spaces in the sun on deck. The crew on board will tell you they have just as much fun as the guests.
It's not just a job for the crew, it's a lifestyle, and we all choose to be here, and you know, who wouldn't want to be out here discovering the Great Barrier Reef? It's just, you know, one of the 8 wonders of the world.
On every Coral Princess cruise, trip director Dennis McDowell takes passengers on a journey of discovery. This includes regular talks in the lounge about protecting the wonders of the Great Barrier Reef.
You can see the reef around the edge of the islands has got a white edge on it. That's actually the waves breaking.
After cruising overnight, our first stop up ahead was the historic centre of Cooktown.
G'day, I'm Wayne from Cooktown and Cooktown Tours. Welcome to Cooktown.
So what are we going to see?
Well, we'll go uptown and we'll see the cannon and we'll see the statue of James Cook and we'll see lots of old buildings, and the cannon was sent here in 1885, and we'll go up Grassy Hill. There's a beautiful 360-degree view up there, and look at the old hospital which was built in 1879, and then go out to the cemetery and look at some of the interesting history out there.
This is also the local Cooktown school bus, so don't expect anything fancy. What you will discover, though, is a fascinating and funny commentary from a man who truly loves his hometown.
A musical ship, it's been here for about 8 or 10 years now, about 8 or 9 maybe, and when they first started talking about it, everyone thought, oh, what a wonderful idea.
Cooktown sits at the mouth of the Endeavour River on Cape York Peninsula in far north Queensland. If you head up here to the Grassy Hill Lighthouse and look out, you'll get a good perspective and a bird's eye view of the surrounding reefs. It's easy to see why Captain James Cook, the British explorer credited with discovering Australia, beached his ship the Endeavour in these waters in 1770. James Cook and his crew spent 48 days here repairing the Endeavour, so it's not surprising that Cooktown overflows with memorials to the famous mariner. A century after Captain Cook's visit, Cooktown itself was founded in the midst of Australia's gold rush. There is evidence of Cooktown's colourful past all over town, with statues depicting the famous explorer and memorials to Chinese settlers and local miners. Today, Cooktown is home to just over 2,000 people, and yet this small population has lovingly preserved the town's old buildings. Its remote location and laid-back atmosphere have also preserved Cooktown's distinctly frontier feel and ensure a true Australian experience. Wayne then took us on to the cemetery, where the ghosts of times past tell their own fascinating tale. The real must-see in Cooktown is the James Cook Museum. Housed in a 19th century convent building, the museum showcases the fascinating history of the town, including the days of the Palmer River Gold Rush and personal items from Cooktown's early residents. Most importantly, it follows the story of Captain Cook's enforced stay at the Endeavour River, during which the first meaningful contact between Europeans and Indigenous Australians took place. The highlight here, the Endeavour anchor and cannon, discovered offshore in the late 1960s. Why do you think this is such a great place?
Oh, well, it's just beautiful, you know. I describe Cooktown in 3 different ways. Firstly, it's a pretty place, and it's a dangerous place to visit because people love it so much and they come back here to live or they stay here. And it's like a country town by the sea. It's just a nice place to live.
Then it was time to leave Wayne and his Cooktown tours and venture back to sea. We were cruising Australia's Great Barrier Reef with the Coral Princess. On the bridge, Captain Grant was setting course for Lizard Island, 93 kilometres northeast of Cooktown. Grant, it seems like it's been pretty smooth sailing, would you agree?
Oh, definitely. We've had perfect weather for this trip, and yeah, it's been gorgeous, actually, yeah.
So is it difficult to captain a vessel like this?
No, not really. We've got all of the latest technology on board, of course, all the latest electronics. It does become challenging, as you've probably seen today, backing up to the reef. We try and get as close as we can to the reef. So we get the stern of the boat right up there, and at times it can be a little bit heavy on your toes. Yeah.
What do you love about sailing in this part of the world? Because you told me you're from Tasmania, which is very cold water, obviously a long way away, but something brought you to Queensland, so you must love it.
Yeah, 12 years ago. The climate, it's perfect, you know. It does, people said to me I wouldn't get used to the humidity, especially coming into this time of the year. I have. It didn't take long at all. Of course we've got air conditioning on the boat, you know, so we're pretty spoiled. But winter's perfect, 28, 25 degrees. You know, it's gorgeous. You couldn't ask for better, yeah.
It's not hard to see what brings some travellers back to this part of the world time and time again. Just ask Joe and Ray, who were regular travellers on board the Coral Princess.
We love it, and so much so that this is our second trip in 12 months. It's been, for me, absolutely wonderful because I've never snorkeled before. It's a whole new world, and I've actually already said to Ray, I'm coming back next year, and if he doesn't want to come, I'll come on my own.
So Ray, you joining her?
Next year, probably yes. I think next year we'll do the northern trip again.
Yeah.
The coral up here, the ribbon reefs are just stunning.
Yeah, it's stunning.
It's pristine coral, the fish. That last reef, I've never seen so many fish, so many shapes, so many colours, and they don't care that you're there. You just lie over them and they just keep feeding and doing their fish things.
We had arrived at Lizard Island and the stunning Turtle Beach. This idyllic anchorage has been attracting fishermen for around 200 years, and today it's a national park. This was also a good spot to take a beachside dive class with Coral Princess instructor Bev. Below the waves, the coral here is magnificent. The Great Barrier Reef is home to 400 coral species, and some of the outcroppings are dazzling and teeming with fish. As the sun sank into the sea, both staff and guests took a moment to chill out on the sand and contemplate another amazing day. Back on board, fish gather around the boat at night looking for an easy meal. Meanwhile, hard at work in the kitchen, Chef Travis and his team were preparing another amazing feast. Your journey on board the Coral Princess includes 3 meals a day, plus morning and afternoon teas.
Hey Travis, some fantastic meals here on the Coral Princess. How difficult is it to cook on board with a small kitchen like this?
Small kitchen doesn't really matter because everything's in hands reach, so to speak, so it's just easy to go. It's very tight and communal. It's good.
In the dining room each night, it's time to mingle with all the guests and swap stories about the day while tasting the best flavours of Australia. We were cruising through Australia's Great Barrier Reef on the luxurious Coral Princess. I was exploring these waters with travel connoisseur Alan Riddell and his colleagues Tom and Pasit from the travel industry in Thailand. The next day, while Alan relaxed on board in the lounge, Tom, Pasit and several other intrepid explorers were up at dawn to head to Watson's Bay and ashore to Lizard Island. They were setting off to prepare for the slow climb to Cook's Look.
If you get tired and you need to have a sit, just let us know and we'll stop there.
We were retracing the footsteps of history. Back in 1770, Captain Cook climbed this steep ridge to the highest point of the island as he searched for a way to safely navigate the reef. No doubt he found the going as tough as we did. From up here you can see the edges of the exclusive Lizard Island Lodge that's often visited by royalty and movie stars. No doubt they arrive by a much more glamorous route. About 3 hours later, at the top, there's a small plaque and the reward of a spectacular view.
Okay, so we are genuinely following in the footsteps of Captain James Cook. we're standing on Cook's Lookout. Now, Captain James Cook climbed up here in order to find a way forward for the journey that he was completing up the Australian east coast. Up until now, he'd been troubled by dangerous passages and the vessel running aground just off of Cooktown. From here, he was able to establish a way through the reefs and steer a path north without coming into so much trouble. But Cook would have come up here, he would have come up here several times in actual fact, at different tides, different times of the day with different sunlight, so he could identify all the reefs and all the dangers that extended from here on out.
Well, these days I often think that to get the best out of what you see in the world, you have to make that extra step. And we've made a few steps this morning, but here we are. It's a very rarely visited place. I've come from Cairns to the solo Cook Cairn on Lizard Island, where Captain Cook, 300 years ago, 250 years ago, came to find his way out of the Barrier Reef, looking at the shadows of the reef in the water. He apparently had to make the walk 3-4 times to get the right light to check out the reef. I won't say it was a tough walk this morning, but with a 5 o'clock alarm call, I just made the launch, but well worth it. Great. It's different, it's alternative, and it's just making that extra step to go where most men and women haven't been before, although Cook did it a long time ago with troops in full uniform, so good luck to them. I wore my orange buff and that will do me.
For Thai travel writer and photographer Pasit, it was the perfect spot to add a few notes to his journal.
It is the most beautiful Great Barrier Reef that I've ever seen. And it's a beautiful sand beach over there. It is most impressed, and also the Australian people, they are very friendly, and it's grateful to come here.
Then it was time to pause for a breath and to admire the splendour of nature. In the distance, a small plane landed, bringing another VIP guest to the island resort. Next up, the slow walk back down to the beach. Besides its history, Lizard Island is just as famous for its stunning white sand and crystal clear water.
So have you enjoyed the Coral Princess cruise?
Oh, I think it's been absolutely fantastic. It's a great way to relax, but it also has an element of an adventure at the same time. So yes, we've really enjoyed it.
If you venture along the beach, you'll also find the path to the ruins of the Watson home, after whom this bay is named. Mary Watson and her husband Robert lived here in the 1870s and were farming sea cucumbers. While Robert was fishing, Mary, her baby son and a Chinese servant sadly died of thirst at sea after running away from local Aboriginal attack. Then it was time to explore the key thing we were here to see, the splendour of the Barrier Reef. Up ahead were the magnificent ribbon reefs. There are 10 in all, and they are regarded as some of the best dive sites in the world. Well, the conditions here at Ribbon Reef number 9 are ideal for snorkelling, but I've been told even better for diving. So let's go off on an adventure underwater. Bev, what's it like down there today?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, the conditions are really good actually. Very, very little currents, and we've got visibility of probably 20-25 metres.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, perfect conditions for diving today.
Lots of fish?
Lots of fish around, yeah. Yeah, definitely lots of fish.
Looking forward to that. While we suited up, the snorkelers also immersed themselves, and in gorgeous clear conditions, we slowly sank below the surface. Bev pointed out the coral formations and some of the 1,500 species of fish that call these waters home.
here is Ribbon Reef number 3, and the crew has told us that this is the most spectacular so far. So we're going to immerse ourselves and find out if that is just the case. So let's go.
You can also explore the reef via the Coral Princess's own glass-bottom boat, which will lower you into the water without getting wet.
The best way you'll see the colours of coral is to snorkel. The glass bottom boat is still very nice, but the colours aren't quite so good because you're looking through the water.
Now this is what a Great Barrier Reef holiday is all about. Time passes all too quickly in paradise. Our hearts were still beneath the sea, but it was time to say goodbye to our friends from the Coral Princess and to take to the air for our journey back home with Malaysia Airlines. For more information on Coral Princess cruises, visit their website. Special thanks to Malaysian Airlines for getting us from Thailand to Australia.